All right, fellas, it's the Hook Cam back with another film breakdown. Thursday night football, first week of the regular season. Football is back. Thank God. I needed this in my life, as I'm sure all of us did. So, first things first, fellas, I know this is so corny and cheesy to say, but please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It's helping the channel grow, and I greatly appreciate all the support I'm getting out there. So a lot more to come. But anyway, diving into this. Couple things I got to get off my chest. First things first. This was a sloppy week 1 football game. Everybody I think can agree on that this was a sloppy game by the Bears and the Packers. The Bears had like a 1st and 40. Are you kidding me? Right? Rodgers was missing throws here and there. New offense. I get it. But what stood out to me was the Packers defense and their 3rd down blitz packages and their fire zones and how much they were confusing 10. Okay, a really good job there. But yeah, I saw a couple of people comparing this game to the Super Bowl last year. No, completely different football games. Super Bowl last year was a chess match between 2 defensive coaches. This year was a sloppy week 1 football game. Whenever these 2 guys play next, I know it's later in the season, it'll be a different game. I can guarantee you that. But with all that being said, what stood out to me, instead of it being Rodgers and that Packers offense shredding guys up, it was just Packers defense. It really was. The 3rd down blitz packages they had, how much they were throwing at Trubisky, how much they were confusing him, all stood out to me. Very, very positive signs with that. So let's get into this thing on 3rd and 9. On 3rd downs in this game, we saw the Packers run this sort of front, and all this is a double A gap. Okay, that's what you dub that terminology is, right? It's your double A gap, and what happens with that is you bump your defensive tackle out. Okay, now he's lined up what looks to be outside of the tackle, and then you have your 2 A gap threats, right? That can either line up anywhere from head up onto the guard to the inside shoulder of that guard. Okay, and you have that in both situations, right? Here's that other A gap threat. Now, here's your other technical, what would be kind of like the D tackle in this role, but they just stood him up, no big deal. And then you have your edge rusher, okay? Now, when you see this as a quarterback, there are so many different things that you're thinking, right? Are we going to get 3 guys who drop and we're going to get a 2-man rush? Are we going to get all 5 of these guys coming at us? Or excuse me, all 6 of these guys coming at us? What are they going to do? Okay? Now, usually you have film that'll kind of tell you, that'll show you what they're going to do, so you know come game time, okay, I know that they're going to be in this. But this is week 1. We got no clue what they're going to drop into. No idea. So before we snap this ball, let me show you what's going to happen. Just from top down, right, we're going to get essentially a twist from 97. He's going to bring this thing inside and try to get to the inside shoulder of this guard, okay? We're going to get a rush or a pressure from 31 back here from depth. I don't necessarily love the fact that he's coming from depth, but I understand it, right? You have to disguise this blitz somehow. This corner is essentially manned up with the back. If the back stays in the block, he's going to come in and add pressure. That's all that is. You're going to match the back. You'll see on this, he does kind of come up and chop his feet. It's just because he's unsure on whether the back's coming out or not, okay? 50, this A-gap threat is going to just dominate this guard in this center, and he's going to run right through this A-gap, and he's going to end up making the play on 10, okay? Now, here's where things get tricky. We're going to drop with these 2 cats right here, okay? Now, this top guy, I believe it's 91, he's going to drop into this middle of the field, and all he's looking for is any sort of crosser, okay? That's all he's looking for. Trying to stay in front of number 2, right? Stay in front of that crosser. That way, if there is any type of throw over the middle, he's there for it, okay? Now, this bottom cat right here, he's dropping in front of number 3, whoever the new number 3 would be. Let's say that they run some sort of crosser with their point man, and number 3 right now, well, he becomes the new number 3, so he's supposed to stay in front of him, okay? And then you just have your rush here from 55. Now, these 2 corners are going to be essentially manned up with number 2 and number 3, or excuse me, number 2 and number 1 over here. All right, you'll see him back up off the start, and all that is you're going to be manned up with it. But watch how this thing shakes down. Okay, a really good rush from 50, who I know gets a little bit of flack from Packer Nation. I know that he's like a leader in tacklers, but he makes a lot of tackles downfield. But just a solid rush here, really a mess up from the O-line more than anything, right? Offensive line-wise, it looks to be that they are running some sort of hinge protection, and that they just miscommunicate on this, and 68 lets 50 go. And that's all she wrote on that play. But again, the confusion that you're bringing as the Packers defensive coordinator on this. Look, Ten's got no idea what's going on. He's got no one to throw to. It is an absolute mess. Even the tight end is in on this protection and then tries to release late. Horrible job. Horrible job all around. But again, they don't have the film to really watch and to dissect this. But a great defensive play call from the Packers to start. And we'll go through another couple of plays on this that they really kind of sit in this third down defense any chance that they can. All right, fellas, another consistency that I saw with the Packers last night is getting into this bare front and definite running situations, right? Any 1st and 10 or, 2nd and long even, they were comfortable getting into this. They're comfortable with their defensive backs. So what they were doing is they were getting into this bare front. And all a bare front is you have your nose tackle who's lined up head up on the center. You have your 2 defensive tackles who will line up anywhere from the inside shoulder of the tackle to the outside shoulder of the guard. Okay, and you can see both of them are lined up in that position in here. Then, of course, you have your 2 edge defenders, and you have your backer in the box. Now, due to personnel, they're in more of a nickel or dime look here because they only got 1 backer. So what this shakes out as coverage-wise is basically man, right? You're just kind of looking for whatever runs into this flat area this defensive back's going to take. Your point man's trying to jam this cat off the line to make sure to rough up any sort of timing routes that they have. And then, of course, you got this other defensive back who's going to take anything vertical or who's going to take anything over into this side of the field. Your Mike linebacker is just matched with this back. And then, of course, you got your other defensive back down here. But the Packers play very gap-sound football on this, and I think that's what's most impressive, okay? 91 does a really good job setting this edge, forcing, I believe it's Montgomery, to cut up inside on this and then make a play. That's an outstanding job, right? This is too deep of an edge for him to get around, and he's too quick. He's going to be able to shed that and get outside of it, okay? Really good job with his hands, getting inside of that gap. Great job by 55 squeezing this thing, and there's really no room to work with for 32 on this play. So a solid job run-wise on this play from the Packers. Really good job. I love this front, and I love the mentality of it, right? You're forcing 10 to beat you. If you're going to get beat by the Bears, have Trubisky beat you throwing the rock, right? It's something that not a lot of guys, I think, trust that he can do quite yet. And he definitely didn't impress anybody with this game. Hate to throw shade at the Bears, but it's definitely true. And here we go again, 2nd and 9, right? And they line up in this front again, right? Force them to throw the rock, right? They do a great job on this. Bears are trying to run, I believe it's a power or an inside zone here. And they do an outstanding job, right? This is just inside lead, basically. But again, they sit in this front. They're going to play great run defense and force 10 to beat you. All right, fellas, another 3rd down here, and check out what we got up front. It's the exact same thing that we saw on the last 3rd down, right? We got 3 backers basically standing up right over the nose of the rock. And what we're going to get, I actually really like the Bears play call on this, and I don't want that to be overshadowed. They're going to motion this cat over, and they're going to run him on a wheel, and then they're going to have basically 2 crossers here, run your wheel, and then you have your flat right over into this area. Now, what the Packers are running behind it, I'm not 100% sure because I don't have the coach's film yet. It looks to me either like cover 2 or a cloud, 3 cloud. Now, what a cover 3 cloud is this corner comes up and plays the flat. That's the only difference with cover 3 cloud as opposed to him dropping back. It looks like cloud because he comes down and then you have this safety who also drops back, but that could also be 2. But essentially what we're getting from the Packers, last time we saw this front, right, we saw a huge blitz, confuse the hell out of 10, and you end up getting them on a 3rd down stop, right? On this one, they only bring 3, but they do rush 31 again. Right, Adrian Amos is an absolute stud, beating that tackle to an edge and forcing Mitch to get that ball out quickly. But again, you're confusing Mitch on this play, right? You're just kind of dropping back, letting everything happen in front of you. 51's rushing to get out. He should be trying to get out to the flat, I believe, because you have 50 dropping back to take care of whoever the new number 3 is. But you can see this corner does a really good job getting bumped and then coming up to try and make a play on this ball. But 10's got to get this thing out quicker if they want a chance with this. But again, we're seeing that same front, we're seeing the confusion, and we're seeing a really good job from that Packers defensive coordinator on confusing Chicago and forcing them to get the ball out quick. All right, fellas. First offensive play we're taking a look at here early in the second quarter. The Packers to this point have been running a lot of wide zone to this wing, okay? And that's going to be kind of the basis of this shot play, all right? So we get this wide zone look from the offensive line, everybody influencing this way. We can already see backers are peeking over. All right, we get 17 coming around on almost an end around look. You also have that wing who's coming across like it's a wham, which they also like to do on their wide zones. And then Rodgers just lets this thing rip. But here's what we're going to get route wise. We're going to get a skinny post at 83, and we're going to get essentially a corner route at 89. But again, I really wanted to break this play down because it's one of the more explosive offensive plays that we saw. But it's honestly just really simple, right? Give your guys a fake, give 12 enough time to throw this rock, and put it in a spot where only 83 can get it. It ends up being one of the bigger plays of the game, but all in all, a good job by the Packers OC and head coach of faking that wide zone, right? Setting this play up. You can't just take shot plays. You know what I mean? It's not Madden. You can't just call forwards all the time. You can't just run skinny posts and all that. You have to set this stuff up, which is exactly what the Packers do. This looks exactly like the wide zone that they usually run, which I'll break down a little bit more later, right? We get this wham across, which they like to do. We also have the end around, which is another thing you can set up with this wide zone. But 12 keeps it, lets this thing rip, and it ends up being a big pickup for the Packers and ultimately one of the biggest plays of the game. All right, fellas, next play here, 2nd down and 2. And when I say give 12 the keys to the car, this is what I mean, all right? So what we're going to have here is basically an inside zone that Rodgers can check and do whatever he wants with, all right? So we've got 17 lined up over here. He's just going to run a really simple, like 4 or 5 yard out to get this first down, okay? And it's a small play, but again, this is what I'm talking about, right? Let Rodgers kill this thing. This is the Packers version of an RPO, okay? Let Rodgers kill this thing, take a rollout and hit 17 for an easy first down. Could have been a touchdown, right? Simple stuff like this. Give him the keys. Let him go. Let him be him, right? Let him tap this to a 5 yard out. Nobody else knows what's going on. That's one of the other cool things about this that I'm not sure everybody knows. There's 11 dudes on the field. 9 of them think it's inside zone, okay? Playing for the offense, right? Nobody else knows that there's going to be a pass. Rodgers just takes a quick drop step, gets rid of this thing, first down for the Packers. Stuff like that is going to keep this offense going, keep it moving, and keep 12 in a rhythm. I really, really like everything that happened on that last play. We're going to roll into the touchdown on this because it's not exactly the cleanest of plays, but you've got an athlete like Jimmy Graham, and I was happy to see him come back. All that's going to happen on this is you're going to get an out and you're going to get a corner from Jimmy Graham, okay? Now, he keeps it kind of skinny, and Rodgers just kind of throws it up to him, and he's a basketball player, man. Box that dude out, go make a play, which is exactly what happens, and we'll see this thing from the end zone view, but it looks like Chicago's still kind of scrambling, judging by the camera angle. Again, I don't have the coach's film yet. Judging by the camera, they went hurry up and they just had a play dialed up that they knew that they liked, and they let Jimmy Graham go be Jimmy Graham. It was a solid job all around, right? So we're going to see Jimmy Graham try to keep this thing skinny. The reason why they're running this, and this is actually a really good shot, I'm happy that this happened, okay? What the Bears are running is cover 2, okay? And a lot of teams, whenever you get into the red zone inside the 10, they run cover 2, okay? When you get onto the goal line inside the 5, they like to run man. Again, I'll get into something about Madden later, and I'd hate going back to that. But when teams get into the inside from the 25, maybe the 35 down to the 10, they like to run cover 2. So what you run against that is you run a corner here with a out or a curl right here. And what the curl or the out does is it holds this flat defender responsible, right? He has to stay down here. That corner is supposed to bend that thing to the sideline, and that's where you usually hit him. Jimmy Graham keeps this thing a little bit too skinny. You can see he's got space to work with, and I think Rodgers throws this a little bit late. But again, you're just throwing it up to an athlete and letting him go make a play. This is a solid job with having NFL guys. This is what you can afford to do. The other thing that's cool that Collinsworth pointed out, and I hate repeating what Collinsworth said, is look at the plane that Rodgers is throwing on, right? When he gets rid of this ball, he's facing this way. You've got defenders thinking he might try to pick on 83 over here. Nope, keeps his feet that way and just lets this thing sling. That's a really cool job by Rodgers. Something cool that not a lot of quarterbacks can do. But all in all, it ends up being a game breaker and a really good play from the Packers. Back to the defensive side of the ball for the Packers. What we're going to get here out of the Bears really quickly is we got the strength to the right side of the line of scrimmage, right? We're going to give a jet sweep motion on this to kind of try and trick the defense into thinking, yeah, we're going to give this jet sweep and we're going to beat you to the edge, right? It ultimately ends up being just an inside zone away from the strength, right? Not super uncommon. You see it a lot in college, and you see it a decent amount in the pros as well. I actually really like this play. But why this play gets so screwed up is because the defensive front that the Packers are in, right? They're in that bear front. And anytime you're in that bear front in a third and short situation, it's tough to cover up all your gaps. Essentially, what you should do in this front, though, is just kind of wash everything down, and there ends up being a seam right in the C gap almost, okay? But two guys make this play. Number one is this nose tackle who completely dominates the center. And I mean dominates. This is a bad look for this center. The second guy who wins this play is 31, again, who had the game of his career last night. Knifes in right in between this tackle and this tight end to make the play on this inside zone. Really, really tough to defend when they're timing this up, but also just a horrible job by 85. Great job by 31, knifing in, making the play in the backfield. But again, watch this nose tackle, right? He just dominates the center with a quick swim move, is able to replace that gap that he left, and it's a third down stop for the Packers. Again, that run defense for Green Bay looks great right now. They're feeling it. They're vibing. Again, it's only week one, so obviously a long way to go. But great job not getting pushed down the line of scrimmage. You can kind of see where this would hit if it was blocked right. Okay, if 85 doesn't get smoked on this, you can see that there's supposed to be that knife in right there. There's supposed to be that gap that kind of pops out C gap to D gap. But again, great play by 31, having a nose for the football, a dominant job by this nose tackle, and it's a stop for the Packers all around. A great job from this defense. All right, fellas, fast forwarding quite a bit here. Kind of a slow late second into the early third, bringing it to the late fourth. Just really quick situationally, the Bears just got stopped on a fourth down. We go to the Packers side of the ball here. This is the first play after that stop, and I think it's important about what they're trying to do here, and they're just trying to pound the rock, right? Which is something that hasn't been the highlight of their offense for the last couple of years, but their blocking and their combos up front are outstanding, which is why they get this drive kick started, right? Now, what the worst case scenario that could happen is they try and throw this thing, go 3 and out, give the ball right back to the Bears, but they don't. Keep this thing on the ground, keep everything nice and even keel, okay? So what happens on this and why this play ends up being so good is because of the combos up front, right? So what we're going to have here is a wide zone that's going to be run to the down at the bottom, okay? Just going to set the edge with 69 right here on 94. Really good job on that. The combos right from the center and both guards are outstanding, okay? So our center and play side guard do a great job of moving this combo to the left and just kind of forcing that flow from the defense, right? Both of these backers are screaming over the top, trying to get to this gap because that's where they believe this play is going to be hit. Right now on the backside, we have our backside guard and backside tackle who blow this thing up by the 3 tech, and they end up creating this huge crease right here. A great job and another great cut from 33, and this run game looks solid in the early goings of this season, right? But again, watching this thing in the entirety, another key out of this is this backside tight end getting underneath of this edge rusher, okay? What that does is it allows a lane to get created, right? Really good job here. Now he's not doing a lot, right? He's not blowing Khalil Mack up, no, but he's getting underneath that. We're getting a great combo and a great push from our backside guard and tackle that's going to work this thing upfield, and there's the lane that you can see right there. Just a really good job from this Packers front of moving the rock, getting this play kick started, and again, working this thing to a second and short and a manageable down for this Packers offense. All right, fellas, next play here, 2nd down and 9. This is right after the Bears had that 4th and 30, or however absurd of a down that was. Great punt from their special teams unit, pinning the Packers deep. This is arguably my favorite play from this game, okay? Packers lining up in 22 personnel here. Everything is hinting to you they're just going to try and pound this rock, and it's going to end up being, ideally when you think of it football-wise, it's probably going to end up being a 3rd and short, and you're going to force them into an uncomfortable ball on 3rd down, right? But what happens here, and this is kind of that next step for the Packers offense, right? 22 personnel, okay? You've given them a ton of run looks, and all that's going to happen is your number one receiver down here is going to run a skinny post, and then he's going to shut this thing down. Okay, it's going to be a quick play fake from Rodgers. I love how he sells this thing, making it look like it's going to be an ISO. Really good protection from your offensive line, just locking up. Your right tackle here is hanging on for dear life against Khalil Mack. And Rodgers just casually slings this thing in there for a 15-20 yard completion. That's an outstanding job from the Packers offensive coordinator, and again from the Packers for executing this play and giving those guys a little bit of breathing room. A quick play fake, receiver does a great job shutting that thing down. Good ball from Rodgers, and you live to fight again. A really good down, a smart play call from the Packers, and it's things like these that are going to help them win the game. It's not about blowing guys out. It's not about putting up 40 points on a team. No. It's about playing smart situational football and giving your guys the best position to win a football game, okay? Again, they're trying to hammer the wide zone on that play, but we'll get into that. Well, we already did get into that. But again, love the situational play calling. Great job all around from the Packers out. All right, fellas, crunch time for the Packers here. 3rd down and 10. Bears are driving a little bit. And again, what do they dive into, right? Their 3rd down package. Again, now this defensive lineman who's down in a 3-point stance is now lined up like outside shade of the guard, maybe head up. I can't really tell from this angle. They're just running cover 1 behind it. That's all they're doing. But they're bringing heat, okay? And what they do with this is they drop 50 to get in front of number 3, and then they bring the corner that's over 3. Now, on top of that, what they're doing defensive line-wise is they're running a stunt, right? They're bringing pressure with this edge defender upfield. They're bringing a stunt with the second guy who's standing up, and they're bringing him inside. That's going to get the guard's eyes to look inside on this pass rush. And then they blitz their corner here, just right through that B gap. And a really good job, right? He's coming from depth, but he's got the speed to get there and put a little bit of pressure on 10. And again, I don't want to take away from the defense on this at all, but this is a horrible ball from 10. This is horrible. He's staring this thing down the whole way. He's not throwing this right at all, right? That safety's over the top. I don't understand why he's throwing this. You have to hit one of your checkdowns on this, right? They're just running a simple corner with 2 in routes underneath it. He's got to hit this in route, and he's got another down to work with, and he can live to fight again. But I don't want to take away from the Packers defense. They did an outstanding job on this, bringing that pressure, bringing that heat, confusing 10, and getting some serious pressure on the quarterback. And again, ultimately walking away with a win. So anyway, guys, that's going to be the end of this video for week 1. Please leave your comments, leave your feedback. I don't have the coach's film yet. It comes out in a couple of days. I do kind of want to get some opinions on whether you guys would rather have the film right now or wait for me to get the coach's film. You know, whatever you guys want. I just want to, inform you guys, make you guys happy for watching some Packers breakdown. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.